Tripods. I think tripods are one area where a lot of us let ourselves down. We don't buy a tripod that's right for what we shoot. Now, one of the things you need to consider when buying a tripod is the payload. So what you need to establish is how heavy is your camera and all the accessories that are going to go on it, because you need to make sure that the payload of your tripod is sufficient to carry that weight, and I would double the weight of your kit. And the reason why you want to double it is the payload is typically based on having the camera right here, right on the top of the tripod here. But we all know that when you put your camera on it, your camera ends up here, and then you might have a monitor on top up here. And because of the way leverage works, when you tilt that forwards or backwards, this weight up here has a much greater effect than weight down here. And the other thing to consider is then the design and construction of the legs. It's really important that the legs have locks or latches that are really solid and really secure. You're putting a lot of money up here, and if one of those latches gives way, or perhaps gets caught on a piece of clothing because it sticks out too far, something like that, and the whole tripod falls over, well, that's either a very big insurance claim or a lot of money coming out of your pocket. Now, the next thing to think about is the head itself. And there are two different designs basically of professional tripod fluid head. So the fluid head is what damps the movement. This one here, this has a ring. It has, on this particular tripod, 5 different positions, and each position gives a certain amount of resistance. And what this ring is doing is it's actually engaging a different friction mechanism for each resistance amount, or in fact it's actually combining several together at the higher rates. So that's what we'd call a clutch pack design, where you have lots of different friction clutches that have a grease or oil in them, a fluid that damps the movement. The other type of design has a knob that you turn to turn up the friction, and you turn the knob back. It doesn't have any click stops or click positions, it's just a variable control. And they use a clutch that has a special sticky grease in between the clutch plates, and the more you tighten it up, the more the clutch operates, so the resistance increases. But the problem with that system is that if you operate it with that tension up very high for a long period of time, the grease actually gets squeezed out from between the clutch plates, and the tripod becomes a little bit less fluid, it becomes less smooth. Now, it's really worth spending a good amount of money on a tripod. A tripod like this, it's not a small investment, but a tripod like this will last you 10 years or more. People rush out all the time and they'll spend all their money on their camera. They'll buy the latest and greatest camera. They might spend £10,000, £20,000 on a camera, and then they've blown all their budget on the camera. They've got nothing left, and they spend £200, £300 on the cheapest tripod that they can find that has the right payload, but then they're disappointed. They have shots, they can't do smooth pans and tilts, and it's all a bit wobbly. So do spend the money. Get a decent tripod. If you can't afford a new one, do consider second-hand. Tripods don't really date in the way cameras and all the electronic technology does. Buy a decent, good quality tripod, and it will last you many, many years.